Well, good evening. Call the Board of Revision to order on October 27th, 2022
At 7:05.
at 7:05. Good evening, everybody.
Be it resolved, or hereby resolved that the agenda for October 27th, 2022 special meeting of council be approved as presented.
Can we get a mover, please? Councillor Houle. Seconder, please. Councillor Gendron. It seems that we just did this. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Councillor Jarvis.
Be it resolved that council hereby adjourn its special meeting to open a public hearing, the time being 7:06 p.m. to hear the following Board of Revision applications, roll number 74200 and roll 98800.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Gendron. Seconder, please. Councillor Jarvis. All in favor? Carried.
Okay, so it's, I guess we need to swear in our assessors and the applicants. Brittany, do you swear to, or I get you to state your full name?
Bethany Deverson.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Our first applicant, Cynthia, would you be able to state your full name?
Cynthia Riviere.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And our second applicant, Carl?
Correct.
Can I get you to please state your full name?
Carl Raczynski.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
We will first be hearing tax roll number 74200. This is for 534 Epsilon, and they are appealing based on the liability to taxation and the amount of the assessed value. Sorry.
This is John. Is that me?
Yes, you. Okay.
Okay, good evening, Cynthia. You could probably tell this is my first Board of Revision, so we'll just figure this out together. If you want to have a seat there at the chair, make yourself comfortable. So you can present to us, your claim. We might ask questions of you or not. We will then, in camera, have a full discussion, come to a decision, which you will be notified by registered mail in terms of the decision.
Right.
You would have the right to appeal if you don't agree with the decision, and in that registered
I've been
mail
there, done that.
package, you will have information on how to appeal if you want to. I don't think there's anything else germane for me to cover. So is there some information that you would like to provide that might not have been in the application?
No, basically nothing's changed in my home. It's the same as my last appeal. When I first moved out here, my taxes were doubled. Nothing's been done to the home at all. And when I first bought the house, like I said, I didn't know there was additions onto it. It wasn't mentioned in the the house description when they sold it, the Bartholettes.
Okay.
So it was very misleading, and it's called a mobile home. First they're calling it a modular home, then it's a mobile home. And it's on Pan and Post, and I mean, I haven't even put in the extra posts, it's short posts. So there's no way on God's green earth that I am gonna get anything near what you guys have assessed as value at. Like, it's way overvalued for, like, say, if I had to have got an inspection done on that home, there probably would have been so many things found wrong with it. Like, there's a lot of issues with that house. The windows don't work, they're broken. Like I said, it's short padded posts, which is inadequate on the addition that I didn't even know was an addition to that home.
When did you move into the home, Cynthia?
2000 and, I think, March 30th of 2012. I looked at it in February with no inspection, just with my agent. And they had to sign this questionnaire as to issues with the house, and they ticked off everything was fine. But then I sued them in court because the garage door was broken. It wouldn't open one side. And little did I know, I guess I could have sued them for the pad and post, because the judge says, well, you've got the sheet now, so if it's all marked off and you've got issues, you can sue them. And I should have, but I guess I just didn't want to spend forever in court with that house. I basically let it go and I paid too much for it. That was my main argument in the beginning, is that house was on the market for 3 years and never sold because people probably got inspections on it and it didn't pass. It's got plumbing problems still to this day that I haven't rectified. So, like, I mean, there's a lot wrong with a piece of junk. I call it a piece, like I said last time on the recording, it's a.
Okay, thank you. Councillor General.
Yes, I would just like to know, just sticking to the facts relative to the assessed value and the assessment. So I'm understanding properly, the property was purchased.
187, yeah.
The property was purchased at some point, either through an assessment or something. The property owner became aware of things that would increase an assessment or value, such as additions. So while she was not aware of them, that is what led to an increase in the property taxes. I just want to make sure that that is in fact what she's trying to explain to us.
No, what happened was when I purchased it, I asked the assessment department, how did you arrive at that? And the head office in Winnipeg asked the same question. And they go, well, we went by what she paid for it. And then I asked, sorry, what's your, I asked you, and it's basically what I paid. Not based on the value of my home, but my home, the condition that my home is in. So I ended up, I won my appeal there, because they doubled my property taxes. They literally doubled them when I moved out here, and I asked why. It's the reason why you would move out to rural areas for lower taxes. I ended up paying more than I was paying in the city.
Sorry, I need to make a decision strictly on the facts relative
Yes.
to
The case.
the case, and so I'm having difficulty following what are the facts related to the case.
Okay,
And what are
Waterflat's overcharged.
May I finish? Sorry. And what are the comments being made about the condition of the property that are not relative to the tax assessment?
Any other questions or comments from anybody on council?
No.
Councillor Gould?
Nothing from me, thank you.
So, you believe,
The assessor can counter this. The assessor will present as well.
okay. I'm wondering if Bethany has information for us?
I can either do my presentation or I can speak about a little bit of the history of,
Maybe both.
so, would you like?
Mhm.
So let's, I can just go over a little bit of the history. So initially, when we verified the sale, and she's correct on the date, it was registered April 3rd of 2012. I'll have that in my brief here.
Mhm.
So we did verify the sale. At that point, it was typed as a bungalow, a year-round bungalow, and 1 bathroom added, fireplace, and the deck size increased, and a shed added. So there were quite a few changes. Now, since then, the fireplace wasn't working, so that was removed. Just looking at the prior notes, since then, we had typed it back as then a mobile home. Once we became aware that, and that will be in my brief as well, but once we became aware that the main part, the largest area was actually a mobile home on post and pad, and there were one-level additions added to it. Of course, then, since then, there's been reassessment years as well. They've been falling on the even number years. So 2012 would have been a reassessment, 2014, so again, the value would have fluctuated based on what the market values were doing at the time. I don't know if that helps clear up a little bit of that, and then I can proceed with my brief
Please do.
here if we're ready. So you have the copy there. Okay, so. I'll just put this up here. There you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go. Okay. Okay, so the subject property on Epsilon Avenue, it's on a lot, 11,000 square feet. So here we have it assessed as a mobile home with one-story additions, as I've said. The total living area is 1,512 square feet. We have already gone over the sale date, and the purchase price at that time was $187,000. So the current assessment on the 2023 assessment roll is toward the bottom there, the $174,000. Again, I just was trying to reiterate some of the concerns stated in the letter of appeal, mostly about the construction and street. The next page, so this is how I tried to address some of the concerns. So again, I did confirm that there were no physical changes since the last time we inspected the property. We did a full interior, exterior inspection in 2017. I did go stop at the property. She was sick at the time, so I didn't go all throughout, of course, but I did double check, measure everything, and confirm that yes, it was exactly as it was. Now, and of course I went over the fact, we realize this is a very unique home, and so we do still have a 10% discount on the entire home. Just to recognize that it's not typical, it doesn't have the flow, the design that you would normally see in a home had it all been built at the same time. So it has a 10% discount still on the home. So just a little description about it. I went over most of that. So the mobile home itself, as far as we know, was manufactured in 1989. A couple of the additions were in the late 80s, and the last addition was in 99. And then there's the detached garage, which was built in 2000, and then there's a couple sheds. So just gives you the photos, and then this is just the sketch of the home itself and the other buildings. The next page, it just shows you an aerial view of the property. And it talks about the sales comparison approach. So that's how we value residential properties, is based on sales of similar properties in the area. And then if you want to open up the larger page here, so the first one in the blue, so if I think you're all on the right page there. We've talked about the subject property, and then I'll get into the three comparables. So yeah, it has 2 bathrooms, it has a deck, 832 square foot garage, couple sheds. So with that discount on the residents, to look at what that, well, actually I'll get into the comparing the values divided by the square footage once I go through the other comparables here. So the first comparison, again, I had to find the closest I could. I'm not going to find an identical property, but the first one's on Oak Avenue. It's a bungalow. The size is pretty similar to the subject. The effective age is just slightly older. It's fairly similar, but it does not have a garage. Has a couple of garages, no sheds. This property sold September of 2020 for $187,500. The next one is on Hazel Avenue, another bungalow, quite a bit smaller. This one's just under 900 square feet. pretty similar effective age, 1 bathroom. And there's a small detached garage, and there's a guest house on this property. This one sold February of 2021 for $170,000, and the last one's on Temple Avenue. Again, a bungalow, just over 1,000 square feet, a little bit older effective age, 1 bathroom. It doesn't have the garage and has a veranda instead of the sheds. This one sold September 2020 for $162,000. So that bottom line there, right above where it says the established value range, that's just a way that we can compare, you know, the assessed value based on the living area. So the subject property, if you take the assessed value divided by the plan area of the home, it's assessed at 89, and the others range, you know, from 129 per square foot up to 190 for the smallest house, which would make sense. So yeah, we have our value range. We feel that that's a fair value to give it. The next page just shows you where the comparisons are in relation to where the subject is located. And the last page right before the addendum is just asking that the board confirm the assessment of $174,000.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Sorry, just
Councillor Jenny?
one further, and that was is the 10% discount on the main building, the home itself, because it is a modular home?
So it's the fact that it's part mobile home with, and I will apologize, the sketch, the third edition is right here. There's no line drawn on your copy. I apologize for that.
Oh,
So
I
the
see.
mobile home is this part here,
Okay.
and then there's the one addition here, the one small at the front, and then the large one at the back.
Sorry, I'll clarify the question. I just meant, I shouldn't have said why it was, but the 10% discount is on the value of the home itself, not the garage, or, yes?
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Are those homes, okay, are these on foundations, these houses that you're comparing, that sold for those prices?
Yes.
They're not on pad and post, they're found, on,
Right. Correct.
and do they have newer windows?
I'm going to, I did
I
my
will go-
sheets on those. Let's see. One we have estimated 2007 for windows, that is, let's see, that was the Temple, that would be the third comparison. And approximate 2010 windows for the Oak Avenue and Hazel, approximately in 2000.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we have all the information that we need.
Yeah, and can answer that would be the next. Then we can proceed to the next.
Is that?
Yep. If the applicant has given all of their evidence, then we can proceed to the next.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other evidence that you would like to give? Cynthia?
No, I usually give that at the, when I have to appeal.
Okay.
I had a stack of it last time,
Okay, thank you very
But-
much.
yeah. It's
And
hard, like,
for our assessor,
to find
um,
houses comparable.
is there any other information or questions that you have of the applicant?
I don't have any.
You're fine? Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for attending. We will make have a full conversation, discussion in camera, and we will let you know of our decision.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, tax roll number 98,800, which is 524 Hazel Avenue. It is being appealed on the amount of the assessed value. The proposed tax assessment is showing an increase from 194,000 to 274,700,
Thank you.
which is a 42% increase. Winnipeg Beach property has not increased that much. Please reevaluate a fair tax increase
Over.
over. Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
It fell to the black. The average housing increase in Manitoba is between 4 and 8%, according to the Winnipeg Sun and WZOWA.ca Winnipeg housing market. Furthermore, I have not added any renovations to the property to increase a 42% tax increase.
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
So, would you like to state any facts to,
I'd just like to say thank you for having me and listening to what I have to say, and it's my first time doing something like this, so it's kind of a little nerve-wracking and whatnot.
tell me about
I've seen your face and your face around, like, you know, doing everything. Just a little bit more about myself. My name's Carl, and my parents had a place out in Panema. I grew up out there, but they retired out there, and so when I had the opportunity to move out to Interlake, I moved out to Interlake just recently. So that's who I am, and so I just wanted to. So when I got my tax assessment, to me the 42. When I do my math, it was a 42%, and I know it has to do with land and with building. And so I just have a few things to speak of.
Okay.
And I do have some pictures too. I know I didn't submit them, but I do have them and I could submit them. And so just have a few points for you good folks to consider.
Okay.
And I'm sure you have, but and I'll just say that the other five, I'd say like the interest rates. I'll talk about the interest rates, COVID, pandemic, recession, the working class, and my potential of my house. So I'll just start with the interest rates, and I'm talking briefly on the phone with Bethany here, because I don't know exactly how you guys, how it's assessed and how this goes about, but I know you're assessing to other properties and to the market. And if you look at the market, you know, prior to, it was at a 1%, and we jumped up to like just around 5, and so now you can see that the market's really cooled. So a house sold in the beginning of the summer would be much different than selling now, due to the interest rates. Due to the pandemic, I'll just move on to the pandemic, which you could talk about being involved in a housing bubble, which they've been talking about housing bubbles for quite some time. But this is kind of clear to me if there's a housing bubble of a pandemic where people are kind of stuck in with a 1% interest. People are buying in, you know, within the general areas. And then I'll move on to the recession. As we could probably all say, we're moving into a recession. I think they've even said in the third quarter where we will be in a recession, right? And then my other point would be working class. So just to work out here, there's really no, for a guy like me working, it's basically seasonal. I'll commute. So it makes it a little tough to be in this situation, but you know, it's a choice that we make. Now, according to my house, when I bought it because I do like doing renos, and I saw the potential. So I see the potential of the house to be at a certain value, and I did bring pictures and I could share, and but I can just speak of that. So the potential in the house, yeah, I'm on 4 lots and it's a nice size and I think to me, I think it's gonna be a great place, but it's way out of date. And so what I've done, I basically stripped it, the floors, and I've done the floors, but the plumbing especially is the major concern there with the old brass. And so I can only do so much at a time. I've been in there for a year and a half now, so since the time I've purchased it to now and from the assessment that has been shown to me, there's no way I can bring that value up that quickly. But, like I said, I do think it's a potential to have the house, to have that value, but at this point, I'm nowhere near that value that you want to, what do you say, compare the 2 other houses.
So, sir, you bought the house in March 2021, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions from council? Councilor Janda?
Are we accepting the photos that he has brought as additional information?
Sure.
How do I submit them? Do you
Just
want to?
Bring them on over.
Let me just walk around,
Sure.
show you my place. Pride. Excuse me, sorry. I'll go clockwise. Right?
No, and then just a point of question is, because we are reviewing them, in the event of an appeal, is there a requirement for him to actually submit them to us?
Which I could. We could start here. This is the outside of the house, and if you
We just
wanted to
make
go
up an
this
answer,
way.
or would that be bad?
And Bethany's nodding her head.
That was a question for the assessment branch.
I would say, I mean, people can give evidence, like,
So we'll start
verbally, and then,
just right here.
but,
I start with the.
So we can just get them to email them to
We'll
us?
do it once, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Can we see outside?
This
Yeah.
is the outside. and
Is this current or is this when
This is
you
current.
purchased?
This is
Okay.
actually, as you can see, I took them today.
Okay.
Being as current as I could be that way.
Okay.
And then just the sheds that are on my, and I show the flooring of the sheds, just to give you an idea of, they're basically let it fall down kind of things. But,
Back of the property.
that's the back of my property there, and.
Is this just cardboard and?
Yeah, so I'm into gardening, so one of my things is to use cardboard to smother out and to.
Is that a veranda?
Yeah, that's my veranda on
Okay.
the side, and it's in a gutted situation since I bought it. I just have not been able to get to that.
Did
That's
you get it to that state?
No, it was in that state
It was
when
in
I
that
bought it.
state of
And
purchase?
I believe Bethany even has the pictures of
Okay,
the
okay.
original. You could, I don't know
Okay.
if they had pictures of it. When we released it, but,
Garage?
the garage, correct. And then the flooring, I tried to show the flooring, so I did do the kitchen flooring here, the walk-in kitchen.
Is this from the garage area?
This is actually the back when you come into the house. And just showing my plumbing.
Is that your basement?
That's my basement. My
Concrete
walls.
walls, okay.
This is my furnace. It's kind of a retrofitted old thing, I guess. An old hot water tank. It's my electrical. And I'm just showing my floors because I did tell Bethany I did do some floors. But this is still the kitchen. And this is my
Is that
plumbing.
what was
that I-
taxed on
in the kitchen
in
that I haven't done. It's a
2019,
double
and then
sink.
all of a sudden
So
went
right now I'm
down,
only for one sink
and then went back
because,
up again? How come?
I have to change the fence.
He added more lots to the thing and it took the whole town's
This is
assessments
the floor I've done.
down
Another room.
significantly.
Is it new rug?
We will see
So how'd
a
you-
big drop of that.
How'd you go from 183 to 254?
If you
Uh,
have.
that was
chance to look at the other
that's
pictures,
pre
you can see
during
the
development.
differences.
So as demand increases because there's less lots.
And that's the bathroom I've worked on.
Because that's a huge jump here.
Yeah, it was,
And I'm still
doesn't
working
jump
on
from
it.
there to there too.
I still have to
You're
finish.
right.
And,
You added that drywall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assessment
I had to go to the-
necessarily correlated to tax dollars.
Okay.
We often
Yeah, when I started
assessment
with-
So this is, it's not a
They
doc,
lowered
it's not a
the
new document, it's back to you, know?
unchanged.
Yeah.
So he's, I'm sorry, I don't understand this. He's challenging this value, but not necessarily his value, his taxes.
I guess the
Well,
other,
this affects his taxes for 2023.
Pam, maybe the three of you could look at it.
Well, maybe we can all
Yeah.
just huddle. Can we all huddle
Yeah,
here?
put it right here is good.
Well,
Alright.
Councillor Bowen.
Alright, this is my current house right here.
Okay, he's not.
I don't have that.
Okay.
Yeah, put it down here.
Okay.
Hey, you see that, Pam?
Yeah, I can.
There's my current house, and just the outside, just the deck, it's very soft. Needs to be replaced, but there's only so many things to do. My shed's on the place, just to show you the flooring there and
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Shed's there, this is the back of my house. Just showing you that, and showing you my old, I've covered it, I made covers, so we got the single pane, California style sliders. I got a little veranda, it was gutted like this when I first bought it, we just haven't got around to it. And this is the veranda as well. Back in my garage, as you can see. And further back, oh, yeah,
Concrete, correct?
yes, correct. And then I'm just showing the floorings here, because when I did talk about it, that's one thing I have replaced. So I'm just coming into the landing here, into my kitchen, so that you can see I replaced some vinyl flooring. It's not well, you can see it's sort of farmland.
Yep.
But I just haven't gotten to it. It's one thing at a time
Yeah.
kind of thing. And my retrofitted furnace. It looks like an old one, and they've kind of done this HVAC kind of thing to it. And a very old hot tank. My electrical tank, which is only last week. Just my kitchen. I haven't done much to it. I've just done the floor. Over here, we're just going to show you my sink. It's the old copper plumbing. I've got double sink, and right now I've just got to shut off just one. Yeah, just because I have to replace this bank here, so I haven't been able to get to that. And then I'll just show you the floors here again. So this is another room I've redone it. I had a chance to take a look at the other pictures from the other real estate. And then the floors here. So I've done the carpets and the flooring and the painting. And this is the bathroom. This is what I've done this summer. Basically, it's putting in vanity, and I'm still working on this.
Tile work?
Do some tile work here as well. And just showing you more flooring that I've done, just carpeting. So that's where I'm at. And I see the potential.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Like I said, I see the potential in the house, and, but I'm, just my concern of the junk and where really it's at, and where the market's at, and where the housing bubble will be. So my concern, which I've talked to Bethany about, was what happens next year, or in a year later, 2 years, when the housing market slides quite a bit, and if the interest rates continue to go up, we won't be able to sell it. And will my value of my house continue? Will I have to, I guess what I'm trying to say is, do I have to pay the interest, the tax for the potential what it could be, or the value that I'm at right now? Which I don't think I'm at that value, and that's my appeal, and that's what I'm getting at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for listening to me and giving me your time.
No problem. Bethany, can we hear from you, please?
So I gave you all a copy of the brief. And I can clarify, a couple of the points, but, again, I won't go into all the detail.
Yeah.
We know that there's a total of the 4 lots, so it's a large size lot, 27,500 square feet. The home itself, 1,220 square feet. I measured it, so we had it off by a little bit, but that's the correct size. So, yeah, I didn't get inside on the 6th, but I did have a good look on the outside. I saw the pictures when it sold, it was on MLS, and again, Carl let me know and everything that he had changed on the house since the sale. So the current assessment is at $274,700. I won't go over you've already read through his main concerns, so I'll just skip to the next page. So yeah, we had conversations, and I did go over the difference from that 2022 value to now the 2023 value. So two things had happened to increase that value as much as it was increased. One being the reassessment. We know for all of the residential properties, I should say specifically single-family residential properties, this time around in Winnipeg Beach, for this reassessment, they increased 18.3% on average. So that was going from that April 2018 market value to now it's the April 2021 market value. The other change was, of course, when the sale was registered, which was March 3rd of 2021. Part of what we do is we have to verify all sales that are registered at Land Titles. And that's to ensure that what we're assessing is accurate, so that when it comes time to do our sales analysis, we're basing it on as accurate information as we can get for each property. So there were some physical changes that were also made on the assessment, and those were made for 2023. So the biggest one was we had all of the buildings, the house, the garage, 100% original. So the house was built in 1964. Now again, some of the house clearly was still original. But some of it that had been updated, like the shingles, the windows, some of the plumbing fixtures, not the rough plumbing, furnace, some other components not original to 1964, so we did adjust that effective age of the house. So from 1964 to 1980, I think if I look at the notes, the other items that were added was the wood stove and the small deck at the front that we didn't have on the assessment. So combined with those physical changes we made, plus the reassessment, the value increased what it did from 2022 to 2023. I did also discuss that it's based on the sales of all properties, and because I know the purchase price, and it was very close to our reference date. March 3rd, and our reference date is April 1st, so it's right before, and we paid $235,000. And we discussed the circumstances of the sale too, just so I could understand. And of course, the house is dated, and we do see that when a house is very dated, usually those aren't selling at the high end, right? And as well, it was vacant, so the house was empty. Again, vacant houses when they sell are typically, they'll sell on the lower end, just because usually there's some motivation from the vendor to sell it. And again, he had mentioned about that rough plumbing not up to code, and he knew it would need to be replaced. So of course, we factored that in for sure to the purchase price. So I won't get into all the details below about the description of it. We'll go over that right away. It just shows you mainly the photos then and the sketch. So on the sketch, you'll see those little buildings. The one that's WFS, that's a wood frame shed. That's the only one we have assessed. There's one almost falling down. We definitely didn't assess that, and same with the other two small. There's a wood storage and a small metal shed. We don't assess those, mainly, just the large shed. So here's the details then on that, the big page here with the comparison. So he's on Hazel Avenue, large lot. So the house, built in the 60s. We've got the effective age 1980, just trying to recognize what's original, what's not. And it has one bathroom. It is unique in that it has a full basement. It's unfinished, but it has a full basement. So apparently that's not, and I haven't worked in Winnipeg Beach a long time, but apparently that's not very common.
It's not common at all.
It's not common, so The potential is there someday, you know, to add, you know, your finished living area. But at this point, it's definitely assessed as unfinished. But yeah, so there's a very small deck, and then the attached garage, it has the breezeway, and then the veranda is on that far side. I know we've seen some pictures already, and the largest shed is what we have on the assessment. So, then the first comparison I have is on Oak Avenue. So this lot is half the size. The bungalow is larger, so it's just over 200 square feet larger, and it does have a newer effective age. This home has 2 bathrooms, no basement, surface foundation, has a larger deck, similar sized detached garage, and they've got a shed and an above ground pool. This is a little bit older. It sold in July of 2019 for $260,000. The next one here, another on Oak Avenue, and this one now, it does have 2x6 exterior walls. It's a little bit larger than the subject. The effective age is newer, 20 years newer. Again, it's got the 2 bathrooms, no basement. It does have a smaller detached garage and no veranda, it just has a shed. This one sold in January of 2021 for $245,000. And the last one, this is a fairly new home, it's on Spruce Avenue. So this one was built in 2013. It is quite a bit newer, it's 1,380 square feet, somebody's property. Again, 2 bathrooms, no basement. And it does have a larger open deck, and then that front covered deck and the detached garage. Again, it would be newer, but it's the same size as the subject. No veranda, just a shed. So this property sold July of 2019 for $282,700. Biggest difference from the subject property to the others, well, I'd say 2 would be the basement versus, you know, none of the comparisons have the basement, but the lot size. You know, the third comparison has just 1 lot, so it's a quarter of the size. So to try to compare the assessed value, because of some pretty large differences, especially in the land value, what I did is I took just the value of the house, just the residence, and compared that value by the plan area, and that was, for me, a better way to try to compare what's the assessed value compared to the size of the home here. So the subject is at 119 per square foot, and the others range from 122 to 165 a square foot. I think that pretty well covers that page, and again, it's just showing the comparables, where they're located compared to the subject property. And then again, you know, based on my inspection, everything I accounted for, it ended up, the value was where it was. So again, we'd be recommending the board confirm the value. In the addendum, I just have the 1 additional photo just to kind of show a better view of the veranda, and then also just to show like the size of the lot and compared to the other ones around it. But I did want to just touch quickly on our reference date. So April 1st of 2021, that's what the assessed value, which is an estimated market value. It's mass appraisal, so it's based on all valid sales in the area. What has happened after that date is not relevant to the 2023 assessment, and when that will become relevant will be our next reassessment, which would be in 2025, right? I don't think there was another point. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, that yes, we've seen it continue to go up since then, and now we've seen it come down. But again, that would be used for our next reassessment.
Councillor Gendron?
Of course. In the pictures that the applicant presented, there were some sheds that he referred to as falling down state. I'm just wondering if those were the sheds that the assessor indicated were not included in the assessment.
So,
I showed a picture of this one, and I
Right.
showed a picture of this one and this one. I
Okay.
didn't show a picture of my, like, you know, just
that
like
wood
a
storage?
open wood shed.
I'm questioning the ones that he referred to as, when we were looking, he said these are basically in falling down state.
Yes.
And I just wanna know, were those included in the assessment? Or are they the ones that you excluded?
So the only one that is assessed
Is
is the
WFS,
largest. the
Right, so I'm
12
just wondering which ones he showed us. Did you show us WFS, or were the ones that you showed us that you said were basically in falling down state, ones that that Bethany has indicated weren't included in the assessment?
Correct. I showed you the WFS.
Right,
I showed you some of that, and the little tin one was off to the side, which is the MSS.
okay,
And then I showed you, but the first one I showed you, which was it just says NA.
Okay. okay. And then I have a couple of questions, for Bethany. And that is, I'm just wondering if she could explain what is an effective age that she referred to, like,
What does that mean?
yeah, what does it mean?
So effective age, so homes are depreciated on an 80-year life, meaning if you did absolutely nothing to a home, you just left it in its original state, over 80 years, it would cease to have any value. So when you have shorter-lived items like your floor finish, your plumbing fixtures, your windows, shingles, those types of parts of your home, that over time you would replace them. That's extending the economic life of your house. So it's extending how long basically it has value and you can still live in it. So we have what's called an effective age calculator, where we can break down all of the components of a house and put in the best estimate we have. You know, in this case, we knew exactly when the floor finish was replaced, so we could put that in as 2021. But it breaks down all of those components, and so we'll have that, you know, 1964 for the majority of those, like your foundation, your, wall system, roof system. And then everything else that's not original, you can put the best estimate we have as to when that item was replaced, and it will give us that overall effective age.
Okay. And then, my other question, just so that I'm following this, is that, this house was built in 1964. Until this assessment, any improvements that had been done between 64 and current property owner had never been taken into account for the assessed value?
Is that correct?
The things that are listed in here, the, updated to 1980 reflect that, so the shingles weren't 1964 shingles, the windows weren't, the furnace and other components, but that they had never been taken into account to increase the assessed value?
So the
Those changes?
shingles we had from the MLS listing were replaced in 2017. And the previous inspection we had was did a review in 2004. Physical inspection 95.
Okay,
Wow.
so the shingles, the windows, the furnace, none of those upgrades had never been previously taken into account for the assessed value of the property?
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to
Okay, sorry,
understand
yes,
that that's what that was saying. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. So those are, it is an unfortunate situation where the current property owner is being dinged with improvements that were done before that were never taken into consideration for the assessed value. Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Can I add to that?
Well, that was my question directly, I mean, you may be able to comment, my question was directed at their process and how they do things.
Can I add to that?
I don't know.
Yeah. What about the veranda in the garage, because they're all separate,
Yeah.
built, like the house is built,
Mhm.
then it's, the garage is built, then the breezeway is kinda half built, and then the veranda is built, so these are all later dates as well.
So do you wanna know the dates?
I'm just adding to what she said, 'cause it makes me think, well, you know, I'm just going, well, the house was built in 64, but that veranda wasn't, and nor was the garage.
Right.
These things are all added on
Right, that might not have been included in previous assessments.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay,
going with what Jean here says and brings up a good point.
okay, thank you very much.
And I'll just also add, my sub pump went off quite a bit this because I had a basement.
Yes, I'm sure it did. Any other questions for council? Council Jarvis?
This
Here.
house was always on 4 lots?
From what I understand, when I,
Yeah, like no lots were purchased in throughout the history of the,
I have records back to 95, and there's no mention of any change, any amalgamation or anything like this, so.
so it's always been one house on 4 lots?
that's correct. I remember talking to the daughter. and She told me a little bit of the history.
Thank you. You have all the information you need? Okay, thank you very much. We will be in touch with you. We will be meeting in camera, having some discussion, making a decision, and you'll be notified by registered mail. And should you want to appeal, the information on how to appeal will be included in your package that you will receive. Okay, thank you very much.
Did you want me to submit any of these photos?
If you could email those to our CAO, that would be wonderful, or acting CAO.
I will have, I'll get you that information. I have a phone number here. Once we close the hearing, I can also go to the door and
Okay,
get you a business card.
sounds good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Be it resolved that having heard all those presented who wish to speak in favor or against the following applications, roll number 74200 and roll number 98800, this public hearing is adjourned, the time being 7:56 p.m. and the special meeting of council resumed.
I have a mover, please. Councillor Houle, seconder Councillor Jarvis. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Good evening.
Let's quickly do this other one before I leave. Be it resolved that the special meeting of council, Board of Revision of October 27th, 2022, move into camera at 7:57 p.m. to deliberate on the applications, and further be it resolved that any matter discussed while in camera be held confidential until such time as discussed in open meeting.
I have a mover, please. Councillor Kozlowski, seconder Councillor Jarvis. All in favor? Carried.
live. Oh, give me a second, the camera just needs to reboot. Okay, I believe we are now live and we should have sound.
Yes, I
just
don't
wanted-
have a
I'm not
resolution
connected to my sound now.
that says,
That we come on camera?
no, I've got that one.
Okay. So, 6.1, be it resolved that council authorize the confirmation of assessment on roll number 74200.000 for 2023.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Hool. Seconder, please. Councillor Gendron. All in favor? Carried. I'll have to sign those later.
Yes, I will get those printed and have them
Okay.
ready for you tomorrow.
This is the shut.
Be it resolved that council authorize the confirmation of assessment for roll number 9, the 8,800.000 for 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Gendron. Seconder, please. Councillor Jarvis. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Be it resolved that council hereby, or does adjourn at 8:13 p.m.
Yes. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hool. Seconder, Councillor Gendron. All in favor?